In this video, I want to go over how flex might help a particular client that you may have using the TPT system and the TPT red range. This gentleman came to me, 66 years old, swinging pretty good. We got him fully warmed up, and there's his averages up on the screen right there. You see he was at 87 miles an hour, 87.6. And I really knew I probably needed to get this fitting dialed in really quickly, not to wear him out. 66 years old. He said he doesn't hit very many balls. So we wanted to get this done as rapidly as possible. And you can see that, he's hitting it on average right there, 192.5 yards. He has a land angle of 29.7, a little low for my taste. The spin, that's okay. Not necessarily for that low of launch for him, so we need to get that launch up, but it's not terrible. But I noticed right away he was hitting it a little in the heel, and that's costing us some ball speed, so we need to definitely get him more to the center of the club. And, that's a pretty decent hit range for some of the other shafts I see out there. So that one wasn't just completely all over the map. It was right there. It was okay. And so the first thing I chose, I spec'd out that shaft, and I went in there and I chose a 17 high that would match pretty closely in the launch conditions of the shaft he currently had, just to see with that consistency of the TPT shaft if we couldn't get him more to the center of the club. And lo and behold, we did right away. We brought him much more towards the center of the shaft. Still just a little bit of the heel. If I wanted to stop right there, I could have gone, okay, I can stop and I'll just move him a little bit further from the ball and he'll be just about perfect. And he can really go have some good times with that. We got the ball speed up. We'd even get that a little more up if it was over in that range. But the carry was really exactly the same as he did. And I knew we could do a little bit better and try to get it maybe just a little bit higher, get the launch angle up. See, this launch angle is even down lower than his launch angle, mainly because he wasn't slicing it as much. So on the slice, he was usually adding just a little bit more loft on these ones out there, and that's what drove up his launch conditions. And so I knew we could do a little bit better by raising the loft a little bit. So I switched out to the G410 10.5 LST head that I had in here. Let's go back in here and check that one out. So we added that one in there and immediately saw that the launch angle didn't get too much higher, but I did see this shot right here. It went a little bit toward the left side of the fairway, and he was actually putting a pretty good draw on that particular club. And it went back towards the heel a little bit, which is what I didn't want to have happen. And so we lost a little bit there. The ball speed lost. And so I knew pretty much right away this wasn't the exact shaft, but it did give me a good degree of understanding of what I should do. And what I thought I should do right then is see if we couldn't get some more speed back out of it. And I wanted to see a little more flex in this guy, which generally at 86 miles an hour, that 17 high is a fairly flexible shaft for somebody in that speed range. But I thought, let's see if we can't get a little bit more out of that shaft, and I chose the 18 low to try to get it to droop down a little bit and deflect a little bit more than the shaft that he currently was using, and that 17 high as well. So when we went back and did that shaft, we saw right away a much different. I put back on his 9-degree G410, just the regular one, and we saw that one jump up there pretty good. You can see the ball speed was much, much higher. We've gone up to 130 on the ball speed, and at 90 miles an hour. So we actually gained him 3 miles an hour of club head speed, and now over his original driver, I believe that was 124, so about 6 miles an hour of ball speed, and we've moved it over more towards the toe. This is coming, the speed is coming out of that flex. We're getting a little more deflection into the ball. We're getting just a little bit better out there towards the toe here. That adds to the ball speed. We're still not spinning it too much. I chose the low to give me a little more droop and then a little more deflection towards the ball to see if we could add a little speed, and it worked. So if we can just compare those right there from that, it was what, 90 miles an hour right in there. Let's move this over. 90.4 miles an hour from 87. That's a significant jump just for somebody just swinging. But again, still a little low for me. We were okay with the land angle, but still just a little bit low for me. If he was going to get that ball up and turn it over a little bit more, that would be good. But this particular 9-degree was leaving the face just a little bit too open, and we were still seeing that slice happening like we saw in the original club, and so I didn't like that. But I did go back and remember that LST that he hit, and it went more to the left, so I immediately grabbed that one and wanted to see if that speed would stay up, and lo and behold, it did. We didn't get quite the same. Maybe he's getting a little tired at this point, but we were able to get up there at 89 miles an hour and have a little bit more flush square hit on that club. We maintained that 130 ball speed. We got our land angle up another degree, and that's probably pretty close to a pretty good land angle for this gentleman right here to hit the ground running. And we can see right here in his carries that he is at 212, and we started at 192. So that's a pretty happy man to gain 20 yards in the air. That's a huge, huge gain. And even if we show, I mean, obviously it's calculated totals. We're looking at just over 240 yards his roll when he was just probably somewhere around, 225 or so. So we got 20 more yards of carry. We ended up about 15 total yards further. And actually, what I like the most is we turn that little bit of a fade into a little bit of a draw. So we can still do some work with this gentleman to get that ball even higher and get that land angle up there to about 35 if I get him to hit it up in the toe. So we're going to increase that ball speed even more when he now works on his swing a little bit right there and gets that ball up, and then right on that toe, that'll straighten out his flight. And you can see these balls were turning over just a little bit. Let's go back in there and get rid of the other ones real quick and get the two finished products up there. You can kind of see the flight. So he was able to, he had the one little fade there, but the rest of them were kind of pulled and drew a little bit. And to be honest, if he had just square up his stance or maybe aim a little right and then get that ball up in that toe, like I said, we'd probably stretch that out to maybe 133, which would give him another, 7.5, 7 yards in the air. So he's even going to be more happy now that he is working on his swing a little bit. So this will give you an idea that if you add some flex, sometimes you can actually add some speed if we can get that shaft to deflect a little bit more and gain a little speed right before it hits the ball. This is a great example of that, in my opinion. So if you have any questions, just feel free to let us know, and I hope this video really, really helped. If you enjoyed this video, you're definitely going to want to check out the new TPT driver shaft fitting course
at tptgolf.com/get-certified. It's great for any serious golfer who just wants to be on the cutting edge, especially golf industry professionals who will benefit from being TPT certified.